Hey everyone, Once Bitten here. So this will be a very short studio update, March 12th, 2015. There are just a couple things going on, and I thought I would go ahead and knock out a video to cover them. So the U.S. Masters is finally done. I said before, I had a lot of fun at that tournament. It was fun making the battle reports. It's taken all of my hobby time over the last couple weeks to get them done. There was a video that was created throughout the U.S. Masters that you might want to check out. It can be found on YouTube. The video is entitled 2015 U.S. Warhammer Masters. It's on the channel called Jake DiBattista, and the link is right there. Although it's probably not going to be in the video as a link. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I'm on it. I've watched much of it, not all of it, but it does give you a kind of good feel for the vibe of the Masters that was going on. Now we're done, and it's time to move on. And son of a gun, Brawler Bash is on top on top of us. Brawler Bash had to get moved up this year because there was a scheduling conflict with the game store. So it is this weekend. So today is Thursday. So I think Wednesday is when I uploaded my last battle report, and Brawler Bash is this Thursday. So if you're a fan of the battle reports, there are another 5 tournament games coming up. A possibility of a pre-tournament game on Friday night. I don't know, but yeah. So if you watched my studio update from directly after the Masters, I put out a call for ideas for a list for the Brawler Bash because I just had no time to come up with something new. And one thing I'm learning about Brawlers is it is no holds barred. With the exception of about a dozen special characters, it's no comp tournament. I'm not a fan of no comp. I think you tend to see just a few builds over and over again. But I didn't have time to really think out a list. So several subscribers contacted me, threw some ideas out. I really appreciated it, mainly because it was just a lot of fun seeing what they thought and bouncing back some ideas with them. I ended up going with the suggestion of Tower Guy. And I'm keeping the list a secret just because there's no reason to divulge it yet. And it was kind of nice at the Masters not having people already know my list. Not that I'm saying it makes a huge difference, but sometimes it seems like it does. So I shouldn't say that the Masters everybody knew everybody's list. But so when I say they didn't know my list, I mean they didn't see several practice games where I talk through my list and why I do it and what I'm trying to do. There's just no surprises when I do that. So I'm not sure I'm going to do that for all tournaments, but might as well with Brawler Bash. I've had exactly one practice game with this list, so that's not a good thing. Because of that, I don't predict I'm going to do super well. I think the list is strong. I think I've played similar lists, so there's no great excuse to play poorly, but certainly I haven't worked out all the kinks on it. So that should be interesting. This will give you a hint to the list. So there's some unit sizes that are different than I've ever used before, and I was staring down the barrel of having to make movement trays for everything. And there is a fan of the channel, Josh, that has contacted me before. We're talking about me getting all of my movement trays for my undead army from him. He makes them out of sheet metal. They're very nice. They're done very well. The measurements are precise, and it's done so that it doesn't scratch things. I mean, it's sheet metal. You can always find a way to make it scratch, but for the most part, the corners are done very nicely. And I'd let him know Sunday that I was concerned about movement trays. Monday he made them, shipped them to me second day air, and they came in, and they arrive, of course, looking like sheet metal, and I had time to spray paint them brown, and I think that's all I'm going to do for them. Now, the one thing that these movement trays I'm concerned about is in the painting scores, sometimes they give you more points for if your movement trays are highly decorated, which that's when you start seeing people with larger and larger movement trays so they can get more stuff on there. And I actually don't like that. I like them to be as small as possible. So there's really no area on these things to do much decoration. So I'm hoping it doesn't hurt my paint scores. I don't think it'll be a problem. But as a way of saying thank you for jumping on the project and getting it to me, I am throwing out Josh's information if you want to use them. Trays for metal movement trays at hotmail.com. And I highly recommend it. I owe him a big thank you for this rush job for me. All right, new army plans. Well, I finally this game store finally got in the box set of models that I'm using to get started with my Undead Legions army. So those came in. I have 40 or 50 models that need to be assembled and painted. Right now I haven't had time to work on them, but the only thing I'm waiting on right now is trying to figure out what I want for their bases, because all my armies so far have like 3 or 4 kinds of flock and rocks that I put on the bases, and I'm finding that that's starting to hurt my damn painting scores, because there's always an extra point you can get if you go beyond that. And sometimes I just hate how these things spiral out of control. So I need to decide how I want to base them. I'm playing around with some ideas with Gabe Thorne. He's a guy who I did a video on his painting a little while ago, trying to figure out how to paint my skeletons a little bit differently so it's not just bleached bone. And it's kind of tricky. We're trying to figure that out. But over the next few months, I will get those painted. I'm not going to commit to buying much more for that army until 9th edition comes out. I have a beautiful Hyro Titan that was sent to me by a fan of the channel. I've got a Khemri War Sphinx that I bought and painted, and now neither of those things are probably going to be in the army book, and that's a little bit discouraging. So, yeah, I'm just going to focus, I think, on getting the colors and paint scheme figured out and getting my basic troops, because there's going to be skeletons and zombies and stuff. So one subscriber on the channel asked me to post my thoughts on the fluff in the latest Archeon book, where basically the Warhammer world just gets absolutely destroyed, and then the Chaos Gods turn their head away. They're disinterested now that they've just reduced order to absolute chaos, and then out of the brink, there's just the tiniest shred of life left that seems to segue into what people have termed the bubble world, where there's different bubbles of reality. So what do I think about the direction it's taking? One, I actually wholeheartedly support the notion that they're going to create a set of rules where it can be played with small skirmish armies and then be scaled up for larger scale games. I think that's brilliant on their part, and as someone who sees a decline in new people coming into the game, I think it's wonderful. I think it's how we're going to get new people into the game, where they don't have to. People come in and look at my army, 2,500 points on the table that's taken me 2 years to paint, and they don't want to get in that hobby. They're like, wow. I mean, look at the time and money commitment there. But if we make it easier for people to get into the hobby, make it easier for people to start new armies, I think that's fantastic, and it doesn't hurt us, because you can still, as long as it's scalable. That we still have rank and file troops and large just gorgeous armies on the table. I support it. I think it's fantastic. This notion that, I don't know, I just can't believe some of it, but it almost seems like they're going to say you can continue playing with all the army books as they are now. You just call it a certain bubble of reality. They'll introduce new scaled, fewer armies with fewer choices, and then come out with, it almost seems like, with new units that may only be in certain bubbles of reality. I think what they're trying to say is they'll come out with a new unit, but it may or may not be a permanent addition to the army. And I think it's smart. I think it can get people to buy stuff. I think a lot of times I have money burning a hole in my pocket, where I'm saying I want to buy something cool with a hobby that I can get excited about, and I want Games Workshop to give me an excuse to do that. So that part I like. I'm really curious to see how it turns out. I'm nervous when the thought of so many units going away, and can I really play them? I mean, I've got 100 men-at-arms that took me a long time to paint, and if they did away with men-at-arms, I mean, I probably would just say use them as something else. It'd be Empire Halberdiers or something, but still, it would be disheartening. So for the most part, I think I'm tired of waiting. I just really want 9th edition to arrive so that we can, see what it is and adapt to it, or move on, or do whatever we're going to do. But just so many changes coming. I'm tired of the wait, but I think the things I've seen so far, I think we're going to be okay with it. So, yeah, that's it for my short studio update. You'll be hearing from me a lot over the next couple weeks as I do battle reports for the Brawler Bash. 3,000 points. Virtually no comp. Scoring system is that you get points for what you kill. It doesn't matter if you win, lose, or draw. There's no such thing. It's just how much did you kill. So yeah, look forward to it.